The paradox is the only thing that reveals truth. Niels Bohr. Sometimes a question isn't meant to be answered. It exists to shake the ground beneath your certainty, to stretch the edges of what you believe reality is. These aren't riddles or tricks of words. They're raw collisions between logic and the universe itself, and somehow they've endured every attempt to be solved. This video isn't just a list of curiosities. It's a journey into the deepest tensions of science, to the very places where our best ideas begin to fall apart. You'll encounter time loops that close without opening, civilizations that should be everywhere yet remain unseen, and phenomena where the act of observing changes what's being observed. You'll meet cats both alive and dead, billiard balls colliding with themselves, and black holes that might be erasing history. Each begins simply enough, but as you follow it to its logical end, something breaks. And that's where it gets fascinating. If you find beauty in uncertainty, if you don't mind staring too long into the unknown, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to DocuVerse. Like the video if it teaches you something that unsettles you. Leave a comment with the one idea you can't stop thinking about. Because the universe isn't tidy, it's layered, unstable, and sometimes impossible. And maybe that's the point. Space looks peaceful, but it hides a question that's anything but calm. We live in a galaxy filled with hundreds of billions of stars, most older than our sun. Many of them have planets, and a surprising number might resemble Earth, warm enough for water, stable enough for life, old enough for intelligence. So where is everyone? For decades, giant radio telescopes have been listening, scanning the sky for whispers, signals, anything artificial. But all we've heard is silence. Deep, constant silence. It's as if we're shouting into a canyon and hearing nothing back. Not because no one's there, but because something else is happening. Statistically, we shouldn't be alone. Even cautious estimates suggest there should be hundreds or thousands of civilizations in our galaxy, yet not one verified signal, not one undeniable trace, just stars and distance. The contradiction has a name, but it doesn't need one to be felt. It's the kind of question that visits late at night, like when you look out at the sky and realize how endless it really is. It challenges our belief that intelligence leads to communication, that progress is inevitable. Maybe civilizations rise and fall too quickly to be noticed. Maybe they destroy themselves, or maybe they're out there watching quietly, choosing not to be seen. There's another possibility, one heavier than the rest. Maybe we're the first. That thought changes everything. It makes humanity fragile, rare. It means we're not just searching for others, we're carrying something unique, a voice that might never be heard again, a responsibility not to vanish before we speak. If that thought makes the stars feel colder, the silence heavier, you're not alone. Subscribe to DocuVerse. There are more questions waiting, and none come with answers. Because when the sky stays quiet for this long, it stops feeling empty. It starts to feel intentional. Not long ago, Earth seemed like the only planet capable of life, a fragile blue dot orbiting an average star. But that illusion shattered. Thanks to modern telescopes, we now know our galaxy is overflowing with planets, hundreds of billions. Among them, Earth-like worlds aren't rare, they're common. Kepler data confirmed it. Across the Milky Way, there may be over 300 million rocky planets orbiting sun-like stars in the habitable zone. Not one or two, hundreds of millions. Worlds with oceans, with light, with time. Even if a tiny fraction developed biology and an even smaller fraction consciousness, we should be seeing something, signals, artifacts, traces. But the sky remains silent. This isn't poetic silence, it's mathematical contradiction. Space isn't just vast, it's ancient. Some stars are billions of years older than our sun, enough time for civilizations to rise and spread across the stars. If it happened even once, why don't we see it? It feels like walking into a vast cathedral and realizing you're the only one there. The air should echo with voices, but it doesn't. The more we learn about how full the universe should be, the stranger that emptiness becomes. There are theories. Maybe intelligent life doesn't last. Maybe it hides. Maybe it's spread so thin we'll never find each other. But every theory leads to another question. Why does it feel like we arrived late to a party that never happened? If thinking about hundreds of millions of Earths with no reply makes existence feel fragile or precious, like the video and subscribe to DocuVerse, because we're just beginning to count the things we can't explain. And if there are millions of worlds with life, why does ours feel like the only one being watched? Some mysteries don't arise from a lack of data, but from too much logic. That's what happened in 1961 when an astronomer tried to turn a mystery into an equation. It wasn't meant to solve anything, only to frame the question. How many stars form each year? How many have planets? How many of those could support life? Of those, how many actually develop it? How many evolve intelligence? How many build detectable technology? And how long do they survive? Multiply it all together and you get a number. How many civilizations should be broadcasting through our galaxy right now? And here's what doesn't fit. No matter how conservative the estimates, the answer rarely comes out to zero. The Drake equation suggests we should be surrounded, radio waves washing over us, coded signals, artificial pulses. But still, silence. So we go back, adjust the math, question our assumptions. Maybe life is rare, maybe intelligence is rarer, maybe civilization itself is the fragile link. How long do we last? There are two explanations for the silence. One terrifying, the other worse. The first imagines the galaxy not as empty, but full. Vast civilizations scattered across the stars, each one hiding, listening, too afraid to be found. Not from paranoia, but because they've learned something we haven't. This is the dark forest. Every species is a hunter, every planet a hiding place. The moment you reveal yourself, you become a target. In a universe where you don't know who's out there, the safest move is silence. And when something makes a sound, it disappears. Maybe that's why we've heard nothing. Maybe they're out there, but they're not speaking. They're watching us, wondering if we're wise enough to stay silent or reckless enough to shout into the dark. It's a bleak idea, but it fits the evidence. No signals, no contact, just an endless stretch of stars, all seemingly mute. Then there's the other possibility, that there's nothing out there at all. Not because it's hiding, not because it's hostile, but because we're alone. This is the empty ocean, vast, silent, not because it refuses to speak, but because there's simply no one else in the water. We may be the first to sail this far, or the only ones who ever learned to build a ship. Both ideas explain the silence. Both are unsettling because if the galaxy is full of eyes, we're being watched. And if it's empty, we're it. The lone witness, the last hope. A species that, if it fails, leaves nothing behind. So we keep listening, wondering what kind of galaxy we live in. A forest full of danger, or a sea too wide for voices to carry. If either vision sends a chill down your spine, subscribe to DocuVerse. This is only the first layer. We haven't even asked the hardest questions yet. And maybe the most terrifying thing isn't that others are silent, it's that they were never there at all. We once believed we were at the center of everything. Then we learned Earth orbits the sun. The sun is one of billions, and our galaxy is one of trillions. Yet somehow, we still assumed we couldn't be alone. But the silence is beginning to challenge that. It's not just that we haven't found intelligent life, it's that we keep uncovering more reasons why we should have. More planets, more time, more chances. And yet, the universe stays quiet. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't murmur. It's utterly, overwhelmingly mute. There's a strange feeling that comes with that. Not fear exactly, not wonder either, but something like cosmic loneliness. A sense that the vastness is real and no one else is here to see it. But maybe silence doesn't mean emptiness. Maybe it means fragility. If life is rare, we might be holding something irreplaceable. If intelligence is brief, we may be a flicker in the dark, one that could vanish as easily as it appeared. And if we are the first, then we're more than observers. We're the experiment, the first voice in the void, which means we don't just get to ask where the others are. We have to ask what kind of story we'll leave behind, what kind of legacy we're building or failing to build for those who might one day find our traces. Maybe that's what makes this silence so heavy. It reflects everything back at us. We don't hear aliens. Maybe we're meant to hear ourselves. A warning, a chance, a responsibility. If the thought that we're the only conscious eyes looking into the cosmos makes you feel smaller or more awake, subscribe to DocuVerse. This is where awe and fear coexist. Because in a galaxy full of potential noise, silence is the one sound you never expect. And sometimes silence is the loudest answer of all. Time feels like the most reliable thing we know. It moves forward, never back. Seconds pass, days end. A cause leads to an effect. Yet beneath that rhythm hides a fracture, a possibility that time doesn't just move, it circles. That's where the next paradox begins. Imagine a loop, not a metaphor, but a literal loop in time. You take something from the future, bring it to the past, and that thing becomes the reason it exists. No beginning, no creation, just an endless cycle with no origin, a story that writes itself. This is one of the most disturbing contradictions in physics, the kind that challenges not just what's possible, but what existence means. Picture this: you walk into a bookstore and buy a copy of Hamlet. Years later, you invent a time machine, travel back to Shakespeare's London, and hand him the book. He reads it, loves it, puts his name on it, and centuries later, that same copy ends up in the bookstore you started in. Who wrote it? It came from nowhere, yet it exists. This kind of loop has a name, but labels don't make it easier to grasp. It's a cycle where cause and effect feed each other, an object or idea that exists in time without ever being created, because the loop never breaks. And though it sounds like fiction, general relativity doesn't rule it out. Einstein's equations allow for closed time-like curves, paths through space-time that circle back on themselves. Under certain conditions, you could visit your own past and bring something with you. It's not just strange, it's destabilizing. Because if time can loop, nothing is truly original. Not ideas, not inventions, not even you. If the laws of time can curve like that, then reality isn't a straight line. It's a spiral staircase. You keep climbing, but every so often you pass the same point again. Only this time, you're holding the book. If that makes time feel less like a clock and more like a trap, subscribe to DocuVerse, because the deeper we go, the more time starts folding in on itself. And maybe what we think is the beginning is just the middle of the loop. You hand the book to Shakespeare. He reads it, memorizes it, and publishes it under his name. Hamlet becomes immortal, printed, performed, studied, loved. Centuries later, you buy the same copy, take it back, and close the loop. No one wrote it. This is the core of the paradox. Not just an object without origin, but information that sustains itself through time without ever being created. No flash of inspiration, no author, no mind. Only a story that exists because it always has. It breaks something fundamental. We assume everything has a source, thoughts from minds, music from composers, machines from inventors. But in this loop, the source disappears, and the thing remains. It makes you wonder what else could exist like this: a formula, a technology, a piece of knowledge passed backward in time to become its own origin. A perfect circle, like a song with no composer, playing forever. Physics doesn't dismiss it. Relativity allows it. Certain conditions, extreme gravity, wormholes, might bend space-time so the past and future touch. That opens the door to self-created events, to cause and effect dissolving into one continuous loop. But it also raises something darker. What if we're part of such a loop? What if a part of our civilization, a belief, an invention, an idea, didn't start with us? What if we're just repeating what the future already knew? If time allows loops like this, then invention becomes memory, and history becomes rehearsal. If that makes you question where your thoughts come from, subscribe to DocuVerse, because maybe we're not moving forward at all. Maybe we're circling something we've already seen, and maybe some things exist only because they never didn't. Think of time as paper, flat, linear, smooth. You can draw a line from past to present, extending to the future. But what if that paper folds? What if two distant points suddenly touch? That's what happens in a closed time loop. An object doesn't just travel through time, it bends it, escapes it, and connects the end to the beginning, like a crease in the universe, a fold that makes yesterday and tomorrow neighbors. It sounds abstract, but this is what some solutions to Einstein's equations suggest is possible. Near rotating black holes, under certain conditions, or through hypothetical wormholes, time doesn't have to flow in one direction. It can circle, it can collapse in on itself. It can, in theory, be folded like origami. And when that happens, strange things start to make sense. You place a violin into a time machine and send it backward. A composer in the past discovers it, creates music with it, and that music becomes famous. The violin is preserved, passed through generations, until one day you find it and send it back again. There was no original craftsman, no moment of creation, just a loop, a shape folded perfectly in on itself. These loops are self-consistent. They don't break the timeline. They preserve it as long as the events don't contradict themselves. The loop can continue forever. Nothing needs to be explained because the explanation is the loop itself. But this elegance hides something deeply strange. Because if time can fold like this, then what is memory? What is invention? What is the difference between discovering something and being handed it from a future you haven't lived yet? Maybe this isn't fiction. Maybe something you believe, read, thought, or built isn't original at all. Maybe you're just one fold in the paper, one crease on the map, and the idea was already traveling back to you. It changes how we see progress. Maybe we don't build ideas, we receive them. Maybe we're not inventors, we're couriers. And if time can fold like this, how many folds are we standing on without even noticing? If that made you glance at your own thoughts differently, hit subscribe to DocuVerse. What looks like a straight line may turn out to be the edge of a spiral because sometimes time doesn't move forward. Sometimes it folds and hands you something it hasn't made yet. Some systems can break with too much information. Stand too close to a speaker while holding a microphone, and you'll hear it, that rising screech, the howl of a loop forming. Sound enters, gets amplified, re-enters, and builds until the system collapses under its own echo. Now imagine reality doing something similar. In certain models of time, events can form feedback loops, not because something is repeated, but because an effect becomes its own cause. The future reaches back, feeds into the past, and together they generate the present. It's not a story told in order, it's a circuit. Think of a physicist who receives the final form of a revolutionary equation from her future self. She studies it, understands it, publishes it, and eventually becomes the one who sends it back. The knowledge exists, it's useful, but where did it come from? The loop feeds itself. No contradictions, no inconsistencies, just a clean recursive chain, a stable paradox. And this kind of logic is being taken seriously, especially in quantum mechanics. Some researchers believe information in our universe may not always flow in a straight line, that past, present, and future can become entangled with effects determined by future measurements. Systems that only become what they are after they're observed. Events that only occur if the timeline stays intact. It's called post-selection, and it breaks everything we thought we knew about causality. These loops aren't accidents, they're constraints. Nature, some believe, only allows realities that fit together perfectly. Inconsistent stories are discarded. Universes that don't make logical sense, where paradoxes explode, never stabilize. Only self-consistent histories survive. That means reality might be editing itself in real time. You're not just experiencing the world forward, you're part of a loop that constantly tests whether your choices, memories, even thoughts fit. And if they don't, the loop never forms. That version of you never exists. What emerges is something far stranger than linear time. A feedback-driven cosmos, always echoing, always checking, always curving back on itself. No beginnings, no final cause, just an endless, self-sustaining pattern. If that idea turned the arrow of time into a circle in your mind, subscribe to DocuVerse, because what we call reality may be less like a story and more like a closed equation trying to solve itself. And if the universe is listening to itself, maybe that's why we're here, to complete the loop. We think of the past as the foundation, the unmoving bedrock beneath everything. It came first. It caused what's happening now. But what if that's not entirely true? What if the past isn't just the beginning, but the outcome? This isn't imagination. It's a real unsettling consequence of physics. In some interpretations of quantum mechanics and certain space-time geometries, the present isn't just shaped by the past, it's also constrained by what the future must become. Take a quantum system, a particle that could exist in many states. It's fuzzy, undefined until measured. But in some experiments, the outcome depends not only on initial conditions, but on what you choose to do later. The future affects the past. This backward influence isn't metaphorical, it's embedded in the equations. It's as if the particle waits to see what kind of future it will inhabit, shaping its history to match. And it doesn't stop with particles. Some physicists propose that macroscopic systems, our bodies, choices, even history, may exist within a larger consistency loop. The past you remember is only one of many possibilities, the one that best fits the outcome that must exist. Time isn't a single river, it's a web. The present is a node held in place by threads pulling from both directions. Tug too hard on one side, and the whole system vibrates. The future doesn't just emerge from the past, it molds the path behind it. This idea unsettles us because it challenges free will, memory, even identity. The past isn't fixed until the future calls it into focus. It also means the universe might not be moving towards something. It might be settling into a shape where every part agrees with every other part. Cause and effect dissolve into structure. If the past is only real because the future needs it, then who exactly are we now? If that made you look at your own timeline differently, subscribe to DocuVerse. The most mysterious part of time isn't where it goes, it's how it decides what already happened. And maybe what feels like memory is just the echo of what the future couldn't live without. You build the machine, step inside the year, and go back. Not to witness, not to observe, but to act. The target isn't a king or tyrant, it's your grandfather. Not out of revenge, just to test the rules. If you succeed and your grandfather dies before your parent is born, you were never born. And if you were never born, you never stepped into the machine. And if you never travel back, he lives and you exist. Then the knife is in your hand again. This is more than a loop. It's a contradiction folded into reality itself, an action that erases the possibility of itself, a wound that heals and reopens in the same instant. It's known as the grandfather paradox, and it's one of the biggest threats to the idea that time travel could ever be real. Because if the past can change in ways that unravel the present, the timeline isn't stable. It's fragile, glitch-prone, self-erasing. Physics doesn't like that. So one possibility remains brutally simple. Time travel is impossible. Not because it breaks logic, but because it would create an unstable system, like a program caught in an endless crash and reboot loop. Reality itself would fail to load. But there's another idea, something more subtle. Some theories suggest that time protects itself. No matter how hard you try, the timeline bends around your actions. The gun misfires, you hesitate, a stranger appears, something always intervenes. Not because the universe is watching, but because consistency is its only law. You can try to change the past, but you'll only ever do what already happened. And then there's the most mind-bending possibility of all. The moment you interfere, the universe splits. You don't rewrite your past. You create a new one, a branching world, a timeline that moves forward without you. You're trapped in it now, a ghost from another history. Your original world carries on, untouched and unreachable. And the more you think about it, the heavier the knife in your hand feels, not as a weapon, but as a test of reality's willingness to let you choose. If the thought of time resisting you gave you chills, subscribe to DocuVerse. We're deep in it now, and the rules are starting to bend. Some ideas don't end in mystery, they end in contradiction, the kind that doesn't just confuse, but unravels. That's what happens when you follow the grandfather paradox to its limit. No matter how you twist the outcome, it collapses. You travel back, you stop the birth that leads to your own existence. But if you succeed, you erase the one who took the trip. The act cancels itself, a perfect loop of erasure, a story that deletes its author mid-sentence. This is the nightmare of causality. Unlike poetic paradoxes or harmless loops, this one doesn't fold quietly, it detonates. Physics rejects it, logic despises it. Yet the idea lingers because time, for all its grace, might allow motion backward. What it doesn't seem to allow is contradiction. That's why many physicists suggest a kind of repair mechanism for reality. Some call it self-consistency, others call it cosmic censorship. But the meaning is the same. Events can bend and loop, but they can't break. You can go back, but only to play your role in the story that already exists. Try to improvise, and the universe pulls you back. You meet your grandfather, raise your hand, and something stops you. A coincidence, a failure, a twist of fate. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It just has to make the contradiction vanish. You don't get to change the past. You become part of it. That makes time travel less like control and more like choreography. You can move freely, but only along the lines already drawn. You're not breaking the story, you're completing it. But if paradoxes are impossible, then free will becomes paper thin. Your choices might only exist because they already fit into the loop. There's no danger of destroying time because time already knows what you'll do. And yet one question remains. What if the loop fails? What if there's no repair, no resistance, just a tear? One act too bold, one move logic can't contain. Does time shatter? Does a new branch form? Or does everything just stop? If the idea of a story collapsing under its own contradiction left a crack in your thoughts, subscribe to DocuVerse, because somewhere inside these loops and fractures, there may be a deeper order. And maybe the reason the past feels so unbreakable is because we haven't broken it yet. There's a strange thought behind every paradox, that the universe has standards, that it refuses contradictions, that somewhere beneath chaos, an unseen editor is deleting impossible stories before they spread. Imagine time not as a recording of events, but as a self-correcting manuscript. Its rules aren't just about gravity or light, they're about narrative stability. And when something threatens to tear the story apart, a paradox, a contradiction, a death too soon, the timeline rewrites itself. Not with magic, but with logic. In physics, this is known as the Novikov self-consistency principle. Any event in a time loop must be self-consistent. Time may allow loops, but never contradictions. You can travel to the past, you can act, but you can't change the outcome. You can only fulfill it. It's not that you lack freedom, it's that your freedom is already woven into the past you're trying to alter. It feels like fate, like a script you can't rewrite. You're the character who believes he's improvising, but he's walking the same lines every time. This principle has eerie implications. The past isn't just resistant to change, it's immune. Try to alter it, and you'll find the gun jams, the car stalls, or someone stops you. Not by magic, but by logic, because paradoxes can't exist and the universe has already accounted for your failure. But what if, instead of fixing contradictions, the universe isolates them? Some theories propose that when a paradox arises, it doesn't vanish, it splits. A new timeline forms, a parallel reality where your impossible action continues. The original timeline remains untouched, but you're gone, trapped in the offshoot, a world that was never meant to be. You can't go back. So either the timeline bends around your actions, or it breaks away from them. In both cases, something is lost, the dream of absolute freedom. If this made the past feel more like a locked door than a road you can walk backward, hit subscribe to DocuVerse. The deeper we go, the more time starts to feel alive, not flowing, but thinking. And if the universe really edits itself to prevent paradox, what happens when even the editor fails? You take a step, a meaningless one. But what if that step, or the hesitation before it, splits the universe in two? One version of you keeps walking, the other stops. Two timelines now diverge, forever, not metaphor, not fiction. A real structure of reality, sprawling infinite built from every choice you didn't know mattered. This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. It doesn't just suggest alternate realities, it demands them. At the quantum level, particles behave like possibilities. A photon doesn't go left or right, it does both, until you look. A particle isn't in one spot, it's smeared across outcomes. When you measure it, you see only one result, but what happens to the others? Many worlds says they happen too. Every outcome is real, just not here, somewhere else. And if this applies to particles, it applies to you. Every decision, every word, regret, triumph, exists somewhere. Each path plays out. Each version of you continues. It's a haunting kind of freedom, because your life isn't a single line but an endless tree of realities. Your regrets are real somewhere. So are your victories. So is the version of you that never came to be. When you imagine going back to change something, you're not rewriting history, you're branching it. The old timeline remains untouched, but you can never return. It solves the paradox. You can kill your grandfather in that branch, but your original self still came from a world where he lived. The contradiction dissolves into a detour, but the cost is staggering, because every choice echoes into infinite universes. And if that's true, then you've already created countless realities, with thoughts you barely remember, with moments you can hardly recall. If that thought made you feel less like a character in a story and more like the author of a cosmic archive, subscribe to DocuVerse. The decisions never end, the branches keep expanding, and somewhere right now, another version of you is wondering if their choice was better. Imagine waking up one day and sensing something slightly wrong. The room looks the same, your memories remain. Yet deep down, you can't shake the feeling that a decision, maybe from yesterday, maybe from years ago, went differently. That strange unease might be nothing, or it might be an echo from a nearby reality, a version of you who chose another path and now lives a life you'll never see. In the many worlds view of existence, you aren't a single thread of thought. You're one node among infinite versions of yourself, each traveling its own branch of the quantum tree. And the strange part? The you reading this might not be the original. Once the universe splits, all branches become equally real. None more true than another. The only difference is, this is the one you remember. But even memory isn't immune. Some interpretations suggest awareness itself might drift as realities divide. You wouldn't notice. Continuity would feel natural. Yet something deep within you might sense that you made a different move and is now watching from across the divide. Quantum computers already operate using these principles, performing calculations across superposed states using entanglement to evaluate multiple outcomes at once. It's not magic, it's physics, and it hints that the mind itself might not be closed but spread, like a song resonating across harmonics you'll never hear. Maybe that's déjà vu. Maybe that's dreaming. Maybe we're brushing against the edges of the choices we never made. If that thought hits somewhere deep, like a memory you never had, like a version of yourself blinking through the dark, then like the video. You're probably not the only version of you watching right now, because you didn't just take a path, you became one. Take a box, seal it tight. Inside, a cat, a tiny radioactive atom, a vial of poison, and a trigger. If the atom decays, the poison releases. The cat dies. If it doesn't, it lives. You wait. You don't look. Now here's the question. Before you open the box, is the cat alive or dead? Logic says one or the other. Quantum mechanics disagrees. The atom exists both decayed and intact, and because the cat is tied to it, it too exists in both states, until you look. This is Schrödinger's cat, not famous for cruelty, but for what it shows. Observation doesn't just reveal reality, it creates it. Before you look, the cat is both alive and dead. Once you do, one outcome becomes real. The other fades. But where does it go? In the many worlds interpretation, it doesn't disappear. The moment you look, the universe splits. In one branch, the cat lives, in another, it doesn't. Both outcomes remain, not as metaphor, but as structure. Somewhere a version of you mourns, somewhere else one breathes relief. And it's not just the cat, it's every choice, every coin flip, every unknown result. Each was a branching point, a box unopened until it was too late to undo. You only see one outcome, but the others still unfold. If that realization made every unopened box in your life feel heavier, like the universe whispering from the other side, then like the video. Because this isn't just physics, it's a mirror. The unsettling truth isn't whether the cat lives or dies, it's knowing that somewhere, it's both. In quantum mechanics, these aren't moments of stillness, but suspension, where outcomes coexist until someone looks. Observation doesn't just show, it finalizes. It collapses the wave of potential into a single fact. But what if the thing that causes that collapse is you? Not your eyes, not a sensor, consciousness itself. It's one of the strangest ideas buried in physics. The observer isn't passive. You're not just watching the universe, you're part of what shapes it. Awareness itself determines what becomes real. Some call it the measurement problem, but naming it doesn't solve it. Before observation, particles exist in overlapping probabilities. Only when observed does the system lock into one state. It's as if reality waits, not politely, but fundamentally for you. That raises a question most physicists hesitate to ask. What is observation? Is it data or is it awareness? If consciousness plays a role, then you, the observer, are the mechanism. You're not background. You're the builder, the shaper. And if each choice collapses a wave, are you really deciding or simply selecting from realities that already exist? Maybe your thoughts are tools of creation, and every act of wondering leaves an imprint on the cosmos. If that idea stays with you, echoing quietly in your mind, then like the video. You're not just watching this, you're collapsing it. Maybe that's what the cat was waiting for all along. Not science, not fate, just you. Maybe you're choosing a version of reality that has always existed, while the rest fade behind you like echoes you'll never hear again. If that makes your thoughts feel like instruments, tools of creation instead of observation, if the very act of wondering seems to etch something into the cosmos, then like the video. You're not just watching this, you're collapsing it. And maybe that's what the cat was waiting for all along. Not science, not destiny, just you. Take two particles created together under the same conditions, then separate them. One travels left, the other right. Light years apart, entire galaxies could fit between them. Yet when one is measured, the other reacts instantly. It's not just fast, it's faster than light. Too fast for any signal to pass, too fast for any warning to be sent. This is entanglement, and it might be the strangest revelation quantum mechanics has ever given us. Once two particles are entangled, they act as one system, no matter the distance. Their properties aren't merely correlated, they're connected. Change one, and the other's state is instantly fixed. Einstein despised this, calling it spooky action at a distance. He believed there must be hidden variables explaining the strange coordination. But every experiment said no. Bell's theorem and all the tests that followed shattered that hope. The universe truly is non-local. Entangled particles behave as if distance doesn't exist, as if information never needed to travel because it was never apart to begin with. Now consider that. Two particles that were once one still acting as one across space and time. And here's where it gets uneasy. If particles stay connected across the void, why not systems? Why not minds? What if every interaction, every shared moment, every act of creation leaves behind an invisible entanglement, unseen but real? What if entanglement isn't rare, but fundamental? Then space itself begins to feel thinner, less like a wall, more like a stretched film between moments that never truly separated. You are not alone. You've never been disconnected. You're part of a web older than light itself. And if that changed how you think about distance, time, or what it means to be apart, then like the video. Because physics has just revealed something we still can't explain. Maybe what holds the universe together isn't force or mass or charge, but memory. Throw a book into fire. The pages blacken, curl, vanish into smoke. But the words, the meaning, the information aren't completely gone. In theory, if you knew every molecule of ash and air, every photon that escaped, you could recover it. You could rebuild what was lost. That's how physics works. Energy transforms, information endures. Nothing truly disappears. Except, what if it does? Now picture a black hole. You drop something in, a book, a ship, a person. The event horizon swallows it whole. No signal returns. From the outside, you only see the black hole grow heavier, more distorted. Here's the terrifying part. According to classical physics, all the information about what fell in, its form, its structure, is gone, not unreachable, destroyed. That's the black hole information paradox. Quantum theory says information can't be lost. It's the core rule of reality. But general relativity disagrees. Black holes take it, crush it, and hide it forever behind an invisible boundary. So which law breaks? Decades of debate followed. Some claimed the information is gone for good. Others said it must somehow leak back out, encoded in the faint radiation black holes emit as they slowly fade. But no one has proven it. This isn't just about astrophysics, it's about knowledge itself. If information can vanish, so can meaning. So can memory. So can you. What if the universe contains places where knowing simply ends? Where truth falls in and never returns? Maybe a black hole isn't just an object, it's a boundary, where reality forgets itself. If that thought made you stop and wonder whether everything we've done could one day vanish into silence, then like the video. Because at the edge of a black hole, even truth can be lost. Maybe the most terrifying thing isn't falling in, but knowing no one will ever know you were there. A black hole evaporates slowly, relentlessly. Over eons, it leaks heat, hawking radiation, predicted but never confirmed. If true, black holes don't last forever. They fade and one day they're gone. No sound, no light, just a ripple in space-time, then nothing. Here's the deepest fear. If everything that entered, light, matter, thought, form, vanishes with it, then the universe has lost something forever. A page burned from the cosmic book. This isn't only about gravity, it's about the foundation of physics. Unitarity, the idea that information about the past is never destroyed, only changed. The math demands it, but black holes seem to defy it. Their evaporation looks clean, empty, as if the cosmos itself is slowly forgetting. If enough of them disappear, what remains? A universe without memory, no structure, no record, no echo, not even a shadow. The black hole paradox was never just about physics. It's about identity. If the universe can it forget us too? Some theories claim information lingers, etched on the event horizon like a hologram, encoded in radiation, or hidden in undetectable correlations. But we still don't know. Maybe we never will, because here, DocuVerse meets something darker. The idea that reality itself might not remember everything, that entire galaxies, whole lives could fade with no echo, no trace, no return. It's a question not of survival, but of legacy. What do we leave behind if even the universe forgets? If that realization made you feel the weight of everything we risk and everything we might become, then like the video. Because some paradoxes aren't confusion, they're mourning. And maybe the universe won't end in fire or ice, but in forgetting. Somewhere along the line, we began to believe that anything could be known, that no matter how strange, the universe would yield its secrets, that given enough time, tools, and reason, we'd understand it all. But what if that belief is an illusion? What if there are places we were never meant to reach, not because they're hidden, but because they can't be known? Every paradox, time loops, vanishing information, superposition, collapse, points to one unsettling truth. Our minds evolved for survival, not infinity. We see patterns in songs and faces, not in 12-dimensional spaces or timelines that split in two. So we reach, we model, we simulate, but we're still watching shadows on the cave wall. Reality stays behind the curtain, and every time we peek, the light blinds us. What if the contradictions persist not because the universe is broken, but because it was never logical to begin with? The universe might not be broken. Maybe it's just our perception that is. There's something deeply unsettling in that thought. Not only that we don't know, but that maybe we'll never be able to. That our questions reach a boundary not of science, but of mind. That reality is too vast, too recursive, too alien for brains built for beginnings, middles, and ends. And yet we ask anyway. Maybe that's the most human thing about us, not intelligence or memory, but the willingness to face a mystery that refuses to resolve and keep looking. So if your mind feels both exhausted and awake, as though it's just touched something too large to contain, like the video, because this series isn't about answers. It's about standing at the edge between understanding and mystery, and wondering if beyond that edge there's only silence. What if we're not late? What if we're early? We often picture ourselves as newcomers in a galaxy filled with ancient civilizations. The silence feels eerie, suspicious, something to decipher. But what if there's no one else? Not because they're hiding, because they never existed. In that version of the cosmos, we're not just curious, we're alone, not by chance, but by sequence. Ours could be the first spark of awareness ever to rise from dust. The first time the universe looked inward and asked, "What am I?" That idea changes everything. Suddenly we're not explorers, we're origins. The first voice in an empty cathedral, the first pattern of thought, the first hands to build dreaming machines. And with that comes weight, an unthinkable kind of responsibility. If we are the first, what we do matters more than we can comprehend. We're shaping not just our future, but the template of all intelligence to come, or ending the story before it ever spreads. And the silence stops feeling ominous. It becomes sacred, not a warning, but an invitation, a vast, untouched expanse waiting for its first story. But what kind of story will we tell? A species that builds until it forgets why, or one that learns, adapts, reaches, and speaks? If you've ever felt small under the night sky and now feel immense in a way that frightens you, like the video, because we might be standing at the dawn of something that's never happened before. And the first mind to awaken in the void has the power to shape everything that follows. All of this, the science, the paradoxes, the endlessness, loops back to something personal, to you. The soft, temporary being in front of this screen, listening, wondering. Because beneath every telescope, every equation, every machine, there's a mind trying to outrun something. Death. We rarely say it aloud, but our hunger for knowledge, our obsession with time, our need to leave a mark, they all point the same way. We are the only creatures we know that truly understand we will end, and we don't accept it. So we imagine other timelines. We dream of uploading consciousness. We ask if the soul can cross space-time. We wonder if intelligence, once born, can ever truly die. And here's where it gets strange. The same physics that shows us particles linked across galaxies, that time can loop, that information can disappear into silence, also leaves just enough room for something beyond finality. Maybe death, like measurement, isn't an end, but a shift. Some scientists and thinkers have suggested consciousness might be a pattern, something that, if copied or transferred, could persist. Others imagine digital afterlives, simulations, code, and memory forming eternal dreams untethered from flesh. And then there are the quieter theories, the ones that whisper, maybe this is the afterlife. Maybe the fact that you're aware right now means you always will be, not in this body, but in some body, somewhere. It's not proof, it's not comfort, but it's not nothing, because physics hasn't ruled it out, and mystery still endures. If that makes you feel the weight of your own breath, the fleeting brightness of being, then like the video. Because science might not give us eternity, but it gives us permission to ask whether forever was ever meant to be ours. And maybe the desire to live forever isn't about escaping death, but understanding life. The universe is expanding. Galaxies drift farther apart every second. Space itself stretches, quiet and relentless. As it does, stars dim, skies empty, nights grow cold. Not tomorrow, not in a million years, but someday, the lights will go out. The last stars will burn, black holes will fade, matter will decay. What remains won't be silence, but stillness. Absolute stillness. No warmth, no motion, no thought, just cold. This is the long view, the heat death of the universe. A future where entropy wins, where everything useful, structured, alive dissolves. But here's the paradox. If it all ends in nothing, why did anything begin? Why rise from stillness just to return to it? Why evolve consciousness only to watch it vanish? Why spend billions of years weaving stars, molecules, and minds into a story that ends with a blank page? Some say the universe doesn't care. It has no plan, it simply is. Others think this final stillness could be part of something larger. Maybe entropy isn't death, but reset, a spring coiled before the next beginning. Or maybe this is the only round, and the echo we hear isn't from the end, it's from us, from our questions, our hopes, our need to find meaning in a cosmos that never promised to be understood. Maybe the echo isn't from the edge of time, but from our own longing to matter in a universe that whispers back, "You are temporary." Still, we listen. If you've ever looked into the night and felt it looking back, not cruelly, not kindly, just blankly, like the video. Because sometimes DocuVerse isn't here to answer the question. It is the question. Maybe the echo at the end of time is the sound of something that once dared to care. We've talked about black holes and time loops, multiverses and lost information, cats both dead and alive, observers shaping reality, machines learning to think. But beneath it all, every contradiction, every wonder, something has been watching you. Not as a narrator, as the paradox itself, because here you are, aware, wondering, temporary, infinite. A being of dust, asking questions no stone ever could. You're built from atoms born in stars that died before Earth existed. You think in language that evolved from firelight and fear. You imagine your own end and still keep going. That shouldn't be possible. You're made of matter that doesn't care. Blind molecules, mindless energy, rules without dreams. Yet somehow, from that, you emerged. And here's the cruel wonder. No matter how far science reaches, how many dimensions unfold, how many equations balance, the thing we understand least is the one asking the questions. What are you? A signal traveling a nervous system? A flash of organization? A glitch in biology? Or the universe's answer to its own silence? We'll never know for sure because every answer folds back on itself. Every path loops, every truth becomes a mirror. You are not outside the mystery, you are within it. And maybe that's what all of this has been about. Not to solve the paradox, but to realize you are one. A mind aware of its own disappearance. A voice echoing through a universe that may never respond. And still you ask, if that thought left you still, not with fear, but with wonder, like the video. Not because you hold the answers, but because you're willing to keep listening. Because perhaps the final paradox isn't out there in space or time. Maybe it's here, now. The impossibility of you. And that's where the story ends, or maybe where it begins. Thank you for watching the video.